Ah, yes, the Scarecrow. Wearing tattered clothes and clinging to a crooked stick while sowing fear in the middle of a sunflower patch. Yet, he can harm nothing at all. He's nothing but a straw man, keeping birds from seeds. Life is filled with opportunities to let the straw man cripple you with fear and worry, allowing him to thwart success and victory in your life. But you can choose how to handle fear. Allow it to paralyze you, or surrender your fears to God. Move forward in faith like the wise bird. He knows that a straw man is simply a tool for sowing fear as a distraction from some very delicious seeds.
So this month we have been talking about this idea of fear and how we should handle the fears that come up in our lives. And last week we looked at just this idea of we have some very real fears that can be deep-seated inside of us about who we are and our gifts and our talents and where we belong and how do we handle those fears? And the truth is that in the midst of fears, God gives us hope for the future, but he also gives us comfort in the present. And so, I don't know, maybe you're dealing with a fear right now that something is going on in your life and you're just struggling. I'd encourage you to go take a look at that lesson. It's on YouTube and Facebook. But tonight, we're going to talk about a different type of fear. Tonight, we are going to talk about fears that come up when we have opportunities. And it's a fear of maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe I don't, not sure I want to step into this because there's some unknowns, there's some unexpected things that are happening. And when the unknowns and the unexpected happen in our lives, it brings fear. It brings fear, but sometimes in the midst of that, there can be this incredible opportunity. Did you ever notice how spooky stories are told around a campfire? I mean, often you sit around a campfire and either spooky stories are told or you see it in movies, spooky stories are told. And I have a theory for why the campfire produces the perfect moment for a spooky story to be told. And here it is. Because as is happening now, the sun is starting to set. And if we were out here long enough, there would be just enough light coming from this fire right here that it would light up this entire circle. But just outside of this circle would be complete darkness. Just outside of this circle, you would not know what was there. There could be things, animals out in the woods behind us that we would have no knowledge of. And with the darkness outside the circle of light brings the unknown and the unexpected. And when the unknown and the unexpected step into our lives, that brings fear. And so the campfire brings this perfect opportunity where around the light, we're comfortable. We know what to expect. But when we begin to look around us, we experience the unknown and the unexpected. Years ago, there were some guys sitting around a campfire, probably sitting around a campfire. They had had a good long day. They were enjoying the evening, sitting around together, probably telling stories, probably laughing together, having a good time. Maybe they were roasting their dinner to absolute perfection like some of you did earlier tonight. And as the sun set and darkness grew around them, and only the light of the fire lit up their faces, that's when it happened. This incredible beast appeared out of nowhere, and they were terrified. It was crazy. And what happened next, when the beast came out of the darkness, would leave these guys with a story to tell that some would still question even to today. The unknown and the unexpected. The unknown and the unexpected brings with us fear. I don't know about you guys, but I find comfort in my routine. Like the days where I wake up and I know what I'm supposed to do, I know where I'm supposed to be, I know what's going on. Those are days where I feel comfortable. But then something unexpected happens, or I don't know what is going to happen in the future. There's a decision that maybe needs to be made about my future that maybe is bringing in some unknown elements to it. That is when fear starts to arise inside of me. And fear starts to arise inside of me because suddenly I'm facing a situation where I have no idea what's going to happen in the future. And maybe that situation arose completely out of the blue and was completely unexpected. Because the truth is, most days, I just want to stay in my safe little bubble where there's nothing unknown, there's nothing unexpected, and I don't have to experience the fears that come with the unknown and the unexpected. But there are so many things as I look back over the course of my family's life that are incredible things that are a part of our family, but at one point they were unknown and unexpected. And you know what my tendency is when I face something unknown or unexpected? I tend to say no, because I want to stay in my safe little bubble. I will never forget when Tate was 6 years old, Kirsten called me on the phone and she said, I may have made a mistake. I was like, okay. And she said, I went to the dog shelter today. And I was like, oh no. Tell me no, we're not getting another dog. Like Tate is 6 months old, Brinkley I think was 4 or 5, and Clark was 2 or 3. I'm like, holy cow, we cannot get another dog. She said, I gave some money because this dog needed surgery. And I was like, whew, thank goodness, we're not getting another dog. And there was this pause, and then she said, and then we went to go look at the puppies. And I was like, no! And this fear arose, like totally unexpected, like how are we gonna pay for this? We have 3 small children and 2 dogs already. How are we gonna handle this emotionally and mentally and physically? Just the exhaustion of having another puppy in our house. And like everything inside of me wanted to say, no, we're safe right here in our bubble. This is an unexpected thing that's bringing some unknown elements into our lives. We don't need this right now. But I tell you what, this week I told our dog that we did end up getting that she was going to be a part of our lesson as she wagged her tail and I petted her. I just can't imagine our family without that dog. I remember when we first signed Brinkley up for soccer. One of his doctors had said, hey, soccer would be a really great thing for him and for his muscles. And so we were like, all right, we're going to sign him up for soccer. And I remember thinking, I don't know about this. I don't know about adding this to our schedule. I don't know about what this league is going to mean for us, for our family. And like, there was a piece of me that wanted to be like, you know, we're fine just the way things are as a family. Like, and this fear inside of me wanted to say, oh, I'm not so sure we need that. But now, like, I come, you guys have experienced this lately. I don't have it on tonight, but like soccer is a huge part of our lives. And I come to worship Uncoiled straight from soccer games. And I'm wearing a soccer shirt every single Sunday night in the spring and in the fall. And I can't imagine our lives not having soccer in them. I remember the first time that we experienced the Clay County 4-H Fair. We had learned all about chickens. We had learned about washing chickens. It was this huge ordeal. And that first year in 4-H, we knew nothing. Everything was completely unknown. We had no idea what we were doing, no idea what we were getting into. And I remember driving to the fair with chickens in the back of our car thinking, We have no idea about this. This is definitely our last time at the Clay County Fair. And now, like, we do all kinds of stuff for 4-H. And what I found is the unknown and the unexpected bring fear in my life. And I tend to want to push back immediately. Like, that's my first inclination. Like, I'm scared of this. I'm going to say no. I'm going to push back. But there are so many things that if I had said no and pushed back, and I had not listened to my wife and my kids and the people around me that were encouraging me to do different things, there are so many opportunities that I would have missed because of fear. There are so many things that would not be a part of our lives because I was afraid. Sometimes the unexpected and the unknown, even in the midst of fear, can bring good news. Sometimes the unexpected and the unknown, even in the midst of fear, can bring joy and growth and opportunities to our lives that we would have never expected before. In the midst of fear, there are some fears where we need the hope and the comfort of Jesus. And there are some fears where we need to step into those fears and recognize that we can look at opportunities from the position of and the perspective of fear, or we can look at them from the perspective of an opportunity. I told you guys earlier about the guys sitting around the campfire and the beast coming out of the darkness. That's a true story, actually. It really did happen. And I can almost guarantee that all of you have heard that story before. But you have always heard that story from the perspective of the opportunity that it brought. And my guess is you have probably not heard that story from the perspective of fear, like I told it to you earlier. You've probably heard it something like this. Nearby there were shepherds living out in the fields, guarding their sheep at night. The Lord's angel stood before them, and the glory of the Lord showed around them, and they were terrified. And the angel said, "Do not be afraid. Look, I bring good news to you, wonderful, joyous news for all people. Your Savior is born today in David's city. He is Christ the Lord. And this is a sign to you. You will find a newborn baby wrapped snugly and lying in a manger." And then suddenly, a great assembly of the heavenly forces was with the angel, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in heaven, and on earth, peace among those whom he favors." What an opportunity. And like, when we read this, that is how we view it. Like, shepherds have this incredible opportunity. Go see Jesus. Why would you not go see Jesus? But we can also look at this story from the perspective of the shepherds probably experienced the most terrifying amount of fear they have ever experienced in their life in that moment. And they could have stepped away, and as the glory of God left and the crazy, terrifying angel disappeared from the presence, they could have gathered around the fire and said, "Holy cow, glad that's over," because that was terrifying. And they could have started asking all the what ifs. Like, that's what we do when opportunities that bring fear come into our lives, isn't it? Well, what if we get this dog? What if we don't have enough money? What if this dog doesn't get along with our other dogs? What if this dog doesn't get along with our kids? What if? And the shepherds could have done all asked those same questions. What if we go see Jesus and we leave our sheep, and what if they all get eaten? What if they all get lost? What if the guy that hires us to guard the sheep fires us? What if we lose all of our sheep and then suddenly we are out sheep, but this is also our source of income, our livelihood? What if I lose our livelihood? What if? And they had an opportunity. They could approach this situation from fear and immediately push back and say, "Holy cow, that was crazy. Like, we just saw something that is unbelievable. All right, let's go back to singing sheep." Let's stay in our safe little bubble where everything is comfortable and we're good. Or they could look at this moment as an opportunity. And they could say, okay, there's a lot of unknown here. This is not what we expected from our night. But let's go see Jesus. Let's go and see what this is all about. And that's exactly what the shepherds did. Now, here's what I find interesting about this story. The angel told the shepherds, don't be afraid, but it never says the shepherds were magically not scared anymore. Have you ever noticed that? The angel said, listen, don't be afraid, but it never says, and then the shepherds were comfortable and sat back and chilled like, hey, angel, yeah, tell us what you got to tell us. The shepherds probably still experienced a whole lot of fear, not only in the presence of the angel, but as they left their sheep to go see Jesus. What if their sheep get taken? What if they walk all this way to go see Jesus and they find Jesus and Mary and Joseph are like, dude, we just had a baby. What are you doing showing up? Don't you know we need our privacy? What if they get completely rejected and then they're like, okay, now what? And to have this opportunity where even in the midst of still experiencing some of those fears, they can step into a moment that God presented before them. You guys, we face opportunities every single day. You face opportunities every single day. I face opportunities every single day where I can push back in fear and stay in my safe bubble. Or I can step into that opportunity even though I'm still a little afraid. And so many times I think God presents us with things, presents us with opportunities, presents us with conversations, presents us with chances to step into programs, chances to step into friendships, chances to step into conversations, and they're scary and they're terrifying. And here's what I'm here to tell you tonight. It's okay to be afraid. The Bible never says the shepherds weren't afraid anymore. And if we can step into those opportunities, even in the midst of our fear, God is going to do incredible things with our lives. God is going to impact people that we could never imagine when we step into the opportunities that He has placed before us. And so, we need to begin asking ourselves this question. When we begin to face fear, let's begin asking ourselves, is this fear that I'm feeling an opportunity in disguise? I need to ask myself that question a lot. Is this fear that I'm feeling an opportunity in disguise? Am I wanting to say no to this just so that I can stay in my safe bubble? And if I say no, will I miss out on something that is going to be really, really awesome for my life? Is this fear that I'm experiencing an opportunity in disguise? And so, the practical challenge tonight is simply this. As you go through your week this week, you're going to face some fear. There are going to be some unexpected and unknown things that come your way. And before you say yes or no, there are some things that you should say no to, obviously. There's some things that you should say yes to. Before you say yes or no, I want you to simply ask the question, is this fear that I'm experiencing right now, is this legitimate? Is this keeping me safe from something? Or is this fear just an opportunity in disguise? Is God presenting me with something that is going to bring something wonderful into my life. And then I would encourage you to take just one step into that opportunity. Just one step. And watch how God confirms, man, this is an incredible opportunity. Continue to walk in this. So, as you face fear this week, ask yourself the question, is this fear that I'm experiencing an opportunity in disguise? Let me pray for you guys. God, thank you for today.